Gentlemen, let's talk about something real today, something that most men don't want to face. One day you wake up and the woman who once adored you, who laughed at your jokes, who looked at you with admiration, now seems distant, irritated, even resentful. You feel it in her tone, in her body language, in the way she looks at you or doesn't. And you ask yourself, what happened? It wasn't overnight. It didn't just happen. The truth is it's been building for years, and you didn't see the signs. Men, listen up. If your woman starts to dislike you, it's because you stopped being the man she fell in love with. And today, I'm going to tell you exactly why this happens and what you must do to fix it. One, you stopped being the leader in the relationship. A woman thrives on certainty, direction, and strength. When she first met you, she was drawn to the energy you carried, the confidence you exuded, and the way you took charge of your own life. You had a vision, a mission, and you moved with purpose. That sense of leadership, that ability to make decisions, to take action, and to stand firm in your direction, it's what made her feel safe. It's what made her trust you. But over time, something changed. Maybe life got comfortable. Maybe responsibilities piled up. Maybe you got tired, and without realizing it, you started to step back. You stopped taking initiative. You started deferring to her more and more, letting her make the decisions, letting her carry the weight of the relationship, not because you're weak, but because you thought it was the right thing to do. Maybe you wanted to avoid conflict. Maybe you thought you were being agreeable. But what you didn't realize is that every time you hesitated, every time you left a decision up to her that she expected you to make, every time you failed to stand your ground with confidence, a small piece of her trust in you eroded. Women don't want to be the ones constantly leading in a relationship. They don't want to feel like they have to be the decision maker, the planner, the problem solver all the time. When they do, it creates stress. It makes them feel like they're carrying the weight of everything, and instead of feeling supported, they start feeling burdened. And when that happens, resentment builds. Think about this. If she always has to decide where to eat, how to handle the finances, how to discipline the kids, how to navigate life's challenges, what role are you playing? If she has to be the one making all the tough calls, she starts to wonder why she even needs you. That's when the respect starts to fade. And when respect fades, attraction follows. A woman wants a man who knows where he's going. She wants to feel like she can trust your decisions, like she can relax into your presence. That doesn't mean being controlling. It doesn't mean making choices without her input. It means being firm, confident, and clear. It means having an opinion and standing by it. It means taking action instead of waiting for her to tell you what to do. Because the moment a woman feels like she has to be the leader, she starts losing faith in you. And when faith is gone, love turns into obligation, attraction turns into duty. And slowly, she stops seeing you as the man she once admired. 2, you lost your edge. When she first met you, you had an edge. There was something about you that made her feel excited, something that made her admire you. You had goals, ambition, drive. You carried yourself with a sense of purpose, and you had a fire in your eyes. You were on a mission, pushing yourself to be better, striving for something bigger. That energy, that hunger, it was magnetic. She didn't just fall for how you looked or what you had. She fell for the man you were becoming. But over time, that edge started to dull. Maybe you got comfortable. Maybe life got in the way. Maybe you reached a certain level of success and thought you could relax. The problem is when a man stops growing, stops evolving, stops striving, he stops being the man his woman fell for. She starts to notice the small things, the way you carry yourself, the way you talk about your work, the way you settle for things instead of challenging yourself. She notices if you no longer push to improve, if you've lost your hunger, if you've started coasting instead of chasing something greater. And whether she says it out loud or not, she feels it. Attraction is fueled by polarity, by the energy a man brings into the relationship. If you were once disciplined, but now you've let your health slide, she notices. If you were once passionate, but now you just go through the motions, she notices. If you were once decisive, but now you second guess yourself, she notices. And the more she notices, the more something inside her starts to shift. A woman doesn't want a man who settles. She doesn't want a man who gives up on himself. She wants a man who is constantly leveling up, who challenges himself to be better, not just for her, but for himself. Because when a man stops growing, he stops inspiring. When he stops inspiring, she stops looking at him the same way. She starts seeing him as just another guy instead of the powerful, driven man she once admired. The truth is, women are drawn to movement, to progress, to passion. They don't want to feel like they're in a relationship with a man who's stuck in place. If she feels like she's outgrowing you, if she feels like she's evolving while you're staying the same, she won't say it immediately, but over time, that admiration will turn into frustration. And once frustration sets in, It's only a matter of time before respect and desire start to fade. 3, you stop making her feel desired. In the beginning, there was passion, there was desire, there was a fire between you that made her feel alive. She felt wanted, craved, irresistible. Every touch, every glance, every moment together carried an energy that told her, you are the only woman in the world for me. She didn't just feel loved, she felt desired. And for a woman, that feeling is everything. But as time went on, something shifted. Maybe life got busy. Maybe responsibilities piled up. Maybe you started taking her presence for granted, assuming she would always be there, that things would always be the same. Without realizing it, you stopped looking at her the way you used to. You stopped reaching for her spontaneously. Stop complimenting her. Stop making her feel like the most beautiful, captivating woman in the room. Intimacy became routine, mechanical, or worse, rare. She started to feel less like your lover and more like just another part of your daily life. And for a woman, that change is devastating. Women don't just want security in a relationship, they want passion. They want to feel like they still excite you, like they still light a fire inside you. If she starts to feel invisible, if she starts to feel like she's just another person in the house instead of the woman who once made your heart race, something inside her begins to shut down. At first, she might brush it off, telling herself it's just a phase, but over time, that feeling of being undesired turns into frustration, and frustration turns into resentment. The truth is, a woman never stops wanting to feel attractive to her man. It's not about grand gestures or expensive gifts. It's about the energy you bring to her. It's about the way you touch her when you pass by, the way you look at her like you're still hungry for her, the way you flirt with her even after years together. It's about making her feel like she still has the power to drive you wild. And here's the reality. If you don't make her feel desired, if you don't make her feel like the most irresistible woman in your world, she will start to emotionally withdraw, not because she doesn't love you, but because she feels unseen. And the moment a woman starts feeling invisible to her man, the distance begins, the warmth fades. And once that fire dies, it becomes harder and harder to reignite. 4, you don't listen, you just fix. Men are natural problem solvers. It's in your DNA. When something isn't working, your instinct is to fix it. When your woman comes to you with a frustration, an issue, or an emotional struggle, your first reaction is to jump in with a solution. You think you're helping. You think you're doing the right thing by offering advice, by telling her what she should do, by trying to make the problem disappear as quickly as possible. But here's what you don't realize. She doesn't always want you to fix it. She wants you to hear her, to truly hear her, to be present, engaged, and connected. When a woman opens up to you about something that's bothering her, she's not necessarily looking for a solution. She's looking for validation. She's looking for connection. She's looking to feel understood. When you constantly jump in with advice or logic, you might think you're being helpful, but what she hears is, he's not really listening to me. He just wants to get this over with. And over time, if she feels like she's never truly heard, she stops opening up. She stops sharing. She starts feeling emotionally disconnected from you, even if you're physically present. Think about this. Have you ever been in a conversation where you just wanted someone to understand your frustration, but instead they dismissed it? Oh, that's not a big deal. Just do this instead. Why are you even upset about that? How did it make you feel? Probably frustrated, probably unseen. It's exactly what happens when a woman feels like she's talking, but you're not truly hearing her. A woman needs to feel emotionally safe in a relationship. She needs to know that when she shares her thoughts, her worries, or even her smallest frustrations, you actually care. That you're not just listening so you can respond, but you're listening because you genuinely want to understand her. She needs to feel like her emotions matter to you, like her words carry weight. And here's the truth. When a woman feels emotionally disconnected, everything else in the relationship suffers. She becomes distant. She stops being affectionate. She loses the desire to be intimate. Because for a woman, emotional connection and physical attraction go hand in hand. If she doesn't feel emotionally heard, she won't feel emotionally safe. And if she doesn't feel emotionally safe, she won't feel deeply connected to you. And once that connection fades, resentment starts to grow. And resentment is the slow poison that kills relationships. 5, you became predictable and boring. In the beginning, everything was exciting. There was mystery, anticipation, and an element of surprise. Every conversation felt new. Every date was an adventure, and every moment together had energy. She looked forward to seeing you, to hearing from you, to experiencing life with you. There was a spark, and that spark kept her engaged, drawn to you, and excited about the relationship. But over time, routines started to set in. The same conversations, the same daily habits, the same predictable patterns. The excitement that once made her heart race began to fade into a cycle of repetition. You became comfortable, and in that comfort, you stopped putting in effort to keep things interesting. Maybe your dates became rare. Maybe your conversations became transactional. Maybe the fun, the playfulness, the spontaneity that once made your relationship feel alive slowly disappeared. A woman doesn't just want stability, she wants aliveness. She wants to feel something when she's with you. She wants to be surprised, to feel desired, to experience moments that make her forget about everything else. If every interaction with you becomes predictable, if there's no excitement, no laughter, no sense of adventure, she starts to feel numb. And when she starts to feel numb, she disconnects. Not because she doesn't love you, but because she no longer feels anything when she's with you. Men often make the mistake of thinking that once they have a woman, the work is done. That once she's in a relationship, once she's committed, there's no need to keep pursuing her, no need to keep winning her over. But that's the exact opposite of what's true. The moment a woman feels like the relationship has become lifeless, she starts to drift. She may not even realize it at first, but she will begin to crave the excitement, the passion, the spontaneity that made her fall in love in the first place. It's not about grand gestures or extravagant trips. It's about energy. It's about keeping her on her toes, making her laugh, creating moments that make her feel like she's in a story worth telling. It's about maintaining the chemistry by staying engaged, staying present, staying playful. The man she fell in love with was full of life. If she starts feeling like she's just going through the motions with you, if the relationship becomes dull, she will eventually start pulling away, not because she wants to, but because she no longer feels that spark. And without that spark, attraction fades, intimacy declines, and resentment slowly takes its place. 6, you stopped valuing her effort. In the beginning, she gave freely. Her love, her energy, her time, she poured it all into the relationship without hesitation. She wanted to make you happy, to support you, to be there for you in ways both big and small. She did things for you not because she had to, but because she wanted to. Every meal she made, every thoughtful gesture, every little thing she did to make your life easier or brighter, these were acts of love. And in return, she felt joy because she believed her efforts were seen, appreciated, and valued. But over time, something shifted. Maybe you got used to it. Maybe you started expecting it. Maybe life got busy and you stopped acknowledging all the little things she does. The compliments became less frequent. The thank yous became rare. The moments of genuine appreciation turned into silence. And though she didn't say anything at first, she felt it. She noticed when her effort was met with indifference. She noticed when the things she once did out of love started feeling like obligations. And with every unnoticed act of care, with every moment she felt taken for granted, a small piece of her admiration for you started to fade. A woman doesn't stop giving overnight. She doesn't wake up one day and decide to stop caring. It happens slowly, in the quiet moments of being unappreciated. It happens when she goes out of her way to do something thoughtful and it barely gets acknowledged. It happens when she carries the emotional and mental load of the household and it feels invisible. It happens when she sacrifices, compromises, and invests in the relationship, but the recognition never comes. And when that happens for long enough, something inside her starts to harden. The warmth she once had begins to cool. The joy she once felt in giving turns into resentment. She starts to feel more like a duty than a partner, more like a convenience than someone who is truly cherished. And the worst part? When a woman stops feeling valued, she doesn't always voice it. She doesn't always fight about it. Sometimes she just withdraws. She stops trying. She stops giving. She stops caring the way she once did. And when a woman emotionally disconnects, it's one of the hardest things to bring back. The reality is, no one wants to feel like their love is taken for granted. No one wants to feel like their efforts go unnoticed. If a woman starts to feel like she is giving endlessly without being truly seen, she will eventually stop. Not because she doesn't love you, but because she's tired of feeling like she doesn't matter. And when that happens, the foundation of the relationship starts to crack. Because love cannot survive where appreciation is absent. 7, let communication die. Communication is the lifeblood of any relationship. It's how we connect, understand each other, and build intimacy. In the beginning of a relationship, communication flows effortlessly. Conversations are filled with excitement, curiosity, and vulnerability. You share your dreams, your fears, your thoughts about the world, and you listen intently to each other. There's a sense of closeness, a feeling of being understood, She feels like you care about what's going on inside her mind, and you feel the same about her. Every conversation feels meaningful, and every exchange deepens your bond. But as time goes on, something changes. Conversations become less about connection and more about logistics. It becomes about the schedule, the bills, the kids, the household chores. The meaningful exchanges turn into small talk. You talk about what needs to get done or what's on the agenda for the day, but you stop talking about what's going on in each other's hearts and minds. When this shift happens, the emotional connection starts to fray. She feels like she's living with a roommate, not a partner. She feels like her thoughts, her feelings, her hopes and dreams don't matter as much as what's on the to-do list. And the more this happens, the more she starts to feel unheard. When a woman opens up to you, she wants to feel seen. She wants to know that you're paying attention, that you're taking her words seriously, and that you care about what's going on in her inner world. If you stop actively listening, if you stop being curious about her thoughts, she starts to feel like you're emotionally unavailable. She starts to feel like she's carrying the emotional weight of the relationship alone. Here's the thing. Women need emotional intimacy to feel connected to their partners. And emotional intimacy is built on deep, honest communication. When you only talk about surface level things, when you only share the facts without engaging in meaningful conversation, she starts to feel emotionally isolated. She wants to know that you're invested in her emotionally, that you care about how she feels, not just about what she's doing. When a woman feels emotionally disconnected because communication has withered, she pulls back. She doesn't always do it consciously. It happens slowly over time as she feels like her emotional needs are no longer being met. She might start holding back her thoughts, not because she's being secretive, but because she no longer believes you'll engage with them in a meaningful way. She might withdraw from sharing her dreams, her challenges, or her fears because she doesn't feel safe enough to open up. And when that happens, the emotional distance grows. If communication becomes more transactional and less about connection, it's easy to see how the relationship can lose its spark. Words become just words. And eventually she starts to feel like there's no depth, no emotional resonance between you. And when emotional intimacy fades, so does the attraction, the warmth, and the desire to stay deeply connected. The relationship becomes more about managing life than truly living it together. And once that happens, both of you can find yourselves going through the motions, emotionally and physically distant, while wondering where everything went wrong. So why do women start to dislike their husbands? It's not about a lack of love, but about a lack of attention, connection, and growth. It's the small things, the loss of passion, the emotional distance, the feeling of being unseen, unheard, or taken for granted. It's the erosion of the traits that once made you the man she admired and felt drawn to. Relationships aren't static. They require constant nurturing, effort, and evolution from both sides. A woman wants a man who continues to lead, who keeps striving, who makes her feel wanted and appreciated, who listens to her with empathy and respect, and who fosters excitement and connection. If you want to reignite the spark, if you want to prevent that distance from growing, then it's time to step up. It's time to re-engage with your partner in a way that shows her you're not just present in the relationship, you're invested, you're willing to evolve, to listen, to surprise her, to support her, and to make her feel like the most cherished woman in your life. Because when both partners put in the effort to maintain the connection, to honor each other's emotional needs, and to continue growing together, that love, the love that feels alive, passionate, and fulfilling, never fades. It only deepens. And that, my friends, is the kind of relationship every woman desires.